Another artifact. No. You will stay here. I have seen enough for one life. Desmond?
He's talking to me?
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago. And now it lingers in my mind, like an image from an old dream. I do not know where you are, or by what means you can hear me. But I know you are listening. I have lived my life as best I could, not knowing its purpose, but drawn forward like a moth to a distant moon. And here at last, I discover a strange truth. That I am only a conduit for a message that eludes my understanding. Who are we, who have been so blessed, to share our stories like this? To speak across centuries. Maybe you will answer all the questions I have asked. Maybe you will be the one to make all this suffering worth something in the end. Now, listen.
Hello. I'm at work. I have some free time. It's kind of an impromptu thing. I've just been trying to read more classical literature. And currently, here's the thing for some of my newer subscribers who might not know. I've been on this platform, what we call YouTube, since 2013. I was 12 when I started this channel. And I started out doing gaming content and other things. And sometimes I reviewed shows. Sometimes I got political. I've deleted pretty much all my political content. I only had a couple, but there are still places you can find it, but I'm not, I've grown a lot. And then COVID happened, and I had bought a bunch of books because I was not a fan of the Star Wars sequels that we were being given. Was very disappointed, and so got into the Star Wars Expanded Universe, and I bought a bunch of things because I found this YouTuber, Matt Wilkins, and from there, I had all this free time and started reading. And then I kind of became this EU channel. But I love the EU. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I like the EU of Star Wars, which, if you don't know what the EU of Star Wars is, which is another thing, basically, the Expanded Universe was a collection of novels, short stories, young adult novels, TV shows, video games, children's books, all of which were meant to exist within one continuity. George Lucas went back and forth on this. For him, his canon, his world was the 6 films that he created. Maybe the Ewok films too, since he helped with those. But outside of that, he didn't care. He liked stuff in it, but he didn't care. But for us, it was meant to be canon. It was meant to be our story. George was like, I'm not making anything else. If you want more, go read the books, essentially. And so I kind of deep dived into that. But I've done that like twice to 3 times now. And I like to read. I'd forgotten how much I like to read because in middle school, elementary school to middle school, I was a big reader. High school, I stopped. Elementary school to middle school, I had some of the for me, the classics, the Chronicles of Narnia. I do remember reading Tolkien at some point. Did I appreciate it as much as I probably would now as an adult? Because I've never gone back and reread them. Probably, I've seen the films more times than I've read the books. I read Harry Potter, of course, and I watched the films as they were coming out. I spoiled the ending for my dad by accident. He was very pissed off at me. And I was like, oh, Harry's a Horcrux. I was a child, leave me alone. I read Percy Jackson, which was one of my personal favorites. I read Captain Underpants, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Those were my childhood books. growing up. But then high school came around and I kind of just stopped reading. So as I said, the EU got me back into it. Made me realize that I loved reading again. And personally, as someone who works all the time, I have more time now to devote to it than, or I have more time to devote to books than I do my other passion, which is, you know, like playing video games. But typically the things I play are single player and they're very long, and it's hard to invest that much time into it. It feels like I'm not doing anything substantial. I mean, even reading or watching a film, you're technically not doing anything substantial with your time necessarily, but you feel more accomplished when it's done because I finished that, I did that. The games I play, I can't feel that as much. Anyway, I'm here now because I wanted to just explain to you, anything you're watching, I'm ahead of it. So up next, you know, coming up this week, we'll have Philip Chase's The Way of Adan. I read that like at the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? I remember reading Return to Adan on the flight over to see Brennan, my friend, in Arkansas. Up and coming, we have Book of the New Sun. We have some more Crow comics. We have the Prince of Nothing trilogy by R. Scott Bakker coming up. We have Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. We have The Road, which is going into next year. I have some Superman comics going into next year. I'm starting to make videos for February right now. I always try to be a little bit ahead. I don't rush through anything, but I've been doing a pretty good job of staying ahead of it. It helped in the past. The reason I've been so far ahead is because before I was primarily reading Star Wars and Halo, which tends to be about 300 to 400 pages, nothing super long. So I was able to churn out those videos pretty quickly to get ahead of schedule. I'm reading books that are a bit bigger now, typically, so it's a bit harder to do that. But this year especially, or within the last 2 to 3 months, I've really gotten into more classical literature. Classical to what lit bros would consider real literature. I don't know what that even means, but of course I have so many fantasy and sci-fi things I still want to get to now, but I'm also including within that other things like Cormac McCarthy. I would consider like an actual author, whatever that means, right? But I started reading that because I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, so I read a Western, which people told me I was crazy with starting with Blood Meridian. Again, you won't see that till literally the end of the year. I think that's the last video in my December slot. I'm also reviewing the Scorched Nation, or whatever it's called, the Sundered Nation by Von Roycroft. I've started that. I finished the first book and I need to read the second book. And right now, like as of right now, I'm reading A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway because I hear that name pop up a lot. And I also bought a Faulkner collection because I hear that name pop up a lot. I have Infinite Jest. I don't know when I'm going to read that behemoth, but I have it ready to go. I want to reread Moby Dick because I know reading that in school, I did not enjoy it. But mostly because I was being forced to read it. And I'm hoping that as an adult, I can maybe appreciate it more. All that to say, I'm massively ahead of schedule. So, but this is modern day me. This is present me right now in the moment talking to you. And I just wanted to, I don't know, say hello and see how you're all doing. Something that came to mind as I was, as I'm going through A Farewell to Arms, because it's during World War I. Surprising how easy it is to read, to get into, and how not different any of us really are. And there's a lot of things in history I don't agree with. We talk about fantasy worlds and sci-fi worlds and all this vast history, let alone our own. Our own history is the ultimate lore book, and none of us will ever in our one lifetime have a concrete grasp of all of it. If, like Philip Chase, you know, I've reviewed his sequel book, which already came out, and my actual trilogy reviews are coming out soon. But he's like a medievalist, like he knows a lot about that period, right? And that's the thing, like you could be the expert of all experts on ancient Rome, but you won't be an expert. You could have general pretty good knowledge of another area, but you won't be perfect on it because there's so much history. And I bring this all up because fiction, of course, is one way to personalize history, because it's one thing to read, you know, essays and essays on this particular period and gain that knowledge and have that seeped into your brain. But the only way you're going to feel that and connect with it is with historical fiction. You know, I can think of some like Black Sails when it comes to pirates, or which heavily inspired you. Treasure Island is on the TBR, but A Farewell to Arms is World War One, and it's amazing to see. And the reason I put what I put at the beginning of this video from one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, or used to be. I'm indifferent to it now, but Assassin's Creed, especially that amazing thing by Ezio in that game. Now the thing with Ezio, the whole thing with that franchise is that, you know, in this hypothetical sci-fi world, you can access your ancestors' memories like it's something in your DNA, right? And so the main character, Desmond, does then. He goes and lives through the life of Altair in the Crusades, and then we live through Enzo al Torre da Firenze in the Italian Renaissance, and then he goes to Rome, and then this is a couple years later, and he's in Constantinople. Every place I've ever wanted to travel is because of those games. But in that particular game, he starts finding these like discs where he himself, Ezio, can view the memories of his, not of his ancestor, but of a previous man, Altair. And so by the end of this game, he kind of realizes that the same thing is happening to him in a different format, but it's still somebody is watching his life. And it's just so beautiful, the whole, you know, who are we that are so blessed to share our stories like this, even though it's not the same thing. We're not actually viewing the past, and we're just getting historical fiction, right, through some of these stories like Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. It's still, this man, he was writing it contemporarily for his time, for the present. But for me, that's really far in the past now. Hell, even, I've been thinking about this a lot, like the 80s. When I was growing up, the 80s were only 20 years ago. Right? But now the 2000s, which I was growing up in, is as far away to kids growing up now as the 80s were to me. But we are so blessed that we can share our stories, whether it be through sci-fi or through fantasy or through whatever means. We are able to put an imprint of ourselves into history through literature. And I think that's beautiful. You know, like, I'm excited to read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein because I've never properly read it. But I hear it's pretty easy to get into, considering. I mean, that's the 1800s, right? But it's a way for you to connect with that period. And even though it's fiction and it's about a monster or whatever else, still, it's a way for you to fit into the role of somebody from back then, or Pride and Prejudice, or Little Woman, or so on and so forth. War and Peace. Pick your poison, pick your old-timey book, your classic literature. The Russian man who wrote Crime and Punishment. His name's hard to say. Even that, a way to be like in that time period. I know that's not like the essential point to reading these things, but I was going through Hemingway's book and relating and being like, wow, you know, like, to think that these people were probably younger than me, you know, during World War I in these stories and stuff. And yet technology evolves, culture changes, but at the core, all of us are kind of just the same. As the Bible, you know, don't run away, but as the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, which is my favorite book from the Bible, there is nothing new under the sun. Every problem has been a problem in the past. Every emotion, positive, negative, in the middle, whatever, it's all been done before, and we can all connect to one another through that. I mean, if you write a truly, Malazan is in the fantasy setting. It's not real relation to our time, but still, it was written in the early 2000s, ended in like 2011. So even still, that is a time capsule, because the things he was writing about was definitely influenced by whatever was going on in that time. I'm sure 2001 had a big portion to do with that, right? It did for everybody in that time. I was only 9 months old, it didn't affect me that much. I know about it, I lived for it, but I was 9 months. I'm rambling. As you can see, this is me on a typical normal day, but people don't typically hear from me on a typical day because I don't do progress reports in my books because I'm shooting to get into the next year already. So anyway, I just wanted to say hi and let you know where I'm at. Right now I'm reading A Farewell to Arms. I'm going to read another Hemingway book because it's a bit shorter, and I'm diving into another of von Roycroft's Bold Ascension, I think is the next one. And I'm definitely getting back into R. Scott Bakker. Still got to do the second Apocalypse. I still got to suffer through more Wheel of Time, but I'm getting through it. Of course, the Wheel of Time is continuing, but book I'm gonna that hasn't happened yet. You haven't seen a single review of mine yet. That's starting, I believe, next month, maybe October. But you're not getting book 5 till probably January of next year. So just so you know, I had to take a small break. But yeah, I see book tags and stuff, and I kind of want to do it myself, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to I already did it once with Malazan, but I don't insert myself into something, because the whole point of the book tag, right, is that you get tagged to do it. I don't like inserting myself into things, you know, even though it's free for everyone to kind of just do that, right? Like, it's YouTube, do what you want. But I don't like the idea of pushing myself in there without being prompted to, so I don't bother. But I'm here, I'm around, and August has not been my month, but I have been vastly discovering I enjoy a lot more reading than I thought I would. Outside of my comfort zone, you know, sci-fi and fantasy, I really enjoy writing itself. Like, I think Hemingway has some beautiful just dialogue in his book, and I look for that, and I love that. And I guess it doesn't really matter the setting, whether it be sci-fi or fantasy or contemporary real world with, you know, World War One. I just need to be invested in your writing to really suck me in. The prose, it's got to be good, and yeah, I don't know. I'm there's a lot going wrong this year for me, I'll say. But reading-wise, I feel like I'm growing a lot. So, I don't know, thought I'd share that with all of you and share a little bit about myself for some of you that may be new here. And thanks for sticking around. And I don't know what I'll call this. How about why? Anyway, I'll see you next time. Have a good day or evening or whenever it is that you're watching. Bye-bye.